Deal with us anymore. It's retirement, right? Guess he must be winning a little bit if he keeps doing this.
Well, it's actually first under mine, but we'll do it.
I'd like to call to order the North Huntington Township Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Wednesday, September 19th, 2018, 7 p.m. Roll call, Manager Silka.
Commissioner Harold. Commissioner Bertani.
Here.
Commissioner Blasco.
Here.
Commissioner Martino.
Here.
Commissioner Bevan. Commissioner Casera.
Here.
Commissioner Haggis.
Here. Could everyone please stand and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and an opening prayer by Monsignor Paul from St. Agnes Church.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Let us pray. O God, source of all authority and wisdom in heaven and on earth, send your Holy Spirit upon these public officials and citizens of North Huntington Township. Together, we seek your divine assistance for the tasks that lie ahead of us. Inspire our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, our work with clarity and charity and accuracy, and our decisions with impartiality. Lord, may our commissioners remember they are trusted servants as they seek to promote the common good and the wise use of community resources. Lord, may we, the citizens of North Huntington, participate actively in the political process, taking the time to study issues, thoughtfully sharing our points of view, and listening respectively to the opinions of others. May everything we do and say at this meeting, and the actions that will flow from its decisions, give you honor and glory. We pray this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, and all God's people say, Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Before we have citizens' input tonight, we have a presentation for Sergeant Don Caddick for the naming of Don Caddick's Way. Proclamation reads, where the Township Board of Commissioners, North Huntington Township, recognizes the lifetime service of Don Caddick has given to both his country and community and wishes to honor him by dedicating a street in his honor. Where Don Caddick enlisted in the Marine Corps in 1951 and served in the Korean War. Where Don Caddick, a distinguished friend of North Huntington, taught history at Norman High School for 35 years. Where Don Caddick has served as a commander of the J. Howard Snyder Veterans Foreign Wars Post 781 in North Huntington, and where Don Caddick has been instrumental Veterans Memorial at North Huntington Township Townhouse, Oak Hollow Park, and Irwin. Now, therefore, the Board of Commissioners, North Huntington Township, hereby declares the private road in the third phase of Brookhaven development shall be named Sergeant Don Caddick Way.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, God bless you. Well, I am so excited. Thank you ever so much. I want to thank those responsible for honoring me, naming a street after me in our community. I honestly feel that we are on this earth to help those who are in dire need. I promise I'll only take you about 8 or 10 minutes because I know you have a lot to discuss tonight. And before I forget, before I even go any further, I want to thank the North Huntington Township Police for the job that they do. They're all here, so there must be a robbery going on somewhere. But I thank you for what you do, and thank you for your service. I honestly feel that we are on this earth to help those who are in dire need. Everyone in this room tonight has volunteered in extending a hand to others, and I want to commend you for that. My accomplishments could not be realized without the support of my 5 young daughters, and some of them are here tonight, and some of them, I have one in Florida, and I have another in North Carolina. I want to also thank my wife for what she has done for me, and I'm sure she's looking down from heaven, and I don't know what she's saying, but I know it can't be that good. But anyway, there are countless veterans who paid the ultimate price in our community that are looking down on us this evening as well. These are the heroes whose names are inscribed on our local monuments. And they were just young kids who went to war so that we may live in peace. They never made it back home. As a former principal, Ron Pedozzi, who I love very much, at Norman High School, always said in the morning announcements, "Would you please bow your head for a moment of silent meditation?" Now, for these vets, I would like you to just take just a few seconds to bow your head for these that gave their life for our country. In conclusion, as commander of our local VFW, I've had the privilege of having our students write patriotic essays every year for the past 25 years. And others receive a monetary award and a certificate for their efforts. In addition, I attach a few words on the back of these certificates. And there's a favorite saying of mine, and I hope it becomes yours. And this is the last thing I have to say. I hope this becomes your favorite as well. It says, to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, and to know the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. And this is to have succeeded, by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And I have a copy for each of you on a board. Lisa, will you give this copy to everybody, please? You can take home. Thank you very much. That's all I have to say about that. Forrest Gump.
Thank you, sir. If any residents would like to speak tonight, you could sign a book at the podium.
At this time, before any residents speak, I want to make an announcement. I was asked to make this announcement from the Board of Commissioners. As you may already be aware, there was a settlement made in the former chief's civil rights action. All of the proceeds that were paid out under that settlement were paid out by the insurance company. No proceeds were paid out by the municipality. I would suggest to this board that they not comment on the settlement. Rather, the document speaks for itself, and anybody can get a copy of the document by merely coming to the townhouse and asking for it, or asking for it under right to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dice. At this time, if anyone would like to speak, they could sign the book at the podium. We have 3 residents tonight. The first one is Rick Keenan. Just name and address for the record, please.
Rick Keenan, 700 Legger Road, and I have lived in North Huntington for 41 years. This is to the commissioners, the borough manager, and their council. You most likely can't or won't comment because of confidentiality clause, employee clause, or the sunshine law. I have not signed off on any of this, so here's what I have to say. You have given North Huntington a black eye. The news media said this was the largest settlement in the state. North Huntington this is the second time they've had to buy out a police chief. Your personal agendas, opinions have caused many large problems for the taxpayers. It will be said that we have insurance for this. I will remind you, the taxpayers are the ones that paid for this insurance, and which will more than likely be rated after this large payout. Far too often, the taxpayers take it on the chin for your incompetence. In closing, I hope there are some resignations, firing as soon as tonight. And make it simple. Just say you're fired.
Thank you. The next resident is Leah Seaman. Just, name and address for the record, please.
My name's Leah Seaman, 1011 Marcia Drive. I've lived in North Huntington for 54 years. Exactly 1 year ago, I stood before this board in referencing Ordinance 8202. When I left this meeting, I was assured that it would be discussed further and someone would get back to me with the decision that was made. It's now a year later. There's been no decision. I've made phone calls, and I've followed up by even in person by being here. No longer has it even been mentioned in the minutes since October. And now again, as of yesterday, I receive a certified letter stating there's going to be a lien against my house because my husband parks his truck in my driveway. He works for a company called CR England. He drives a Freightliner tractor. It needs to be in a secure place, and they have accepted that our driveway is a secure place to park it. In North Huntington, there is no place to park a tractor. The few places that are available are full. There is nowhere to park. This is his livelihood, this is my livelihood, and this is affecting us. They're going to put a lien on my home. There are other vehicles in the same neighborhood that park there and have parked there for the last 5 years. His vehicle comes in on Wednesday and leaves, it leaves on Wednesday, comes in on Sunday. And when they come in, they're on what's a mandatory 34-hour reset, which means they cannot drive that vehicle. It sits in my driveway, out of traffic way, doesn't bother anybody but me. The other vehicle that parks in my neighborhood goes in and out every day. It's a heavier vehicle. It's on those roads every day. But I don't see anybody complaining against them. I don't see the ordinance being enforced against them. I also have neighbors that have a boat that has no motor as a lawn ornament. I have a neighbor that has a trailer that cannot be titled in Pennsylvania sitting in their driveway. But for some reason, someone keeps putting a complaint in against my husband. I'm also asking this time that I would like full disclosure of that complaint. This is the second time, and I think I, as a resident, deserve to know what the complaint says and who's complaining. I will show you pictures of the vehicle that he parks in my driveway, and I'll show you pictures of the vehicle taken today and yesterday of the vehicle that parks also in my neighborhood. As I said, his vehicle is always in my driveway.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I agree. When you don't do it, selective enforcement.
Yeah, you can just.
It doesn't wake anybody up at all. But this one's going in and out every day. Right. And also in that ordinance says people can't park cars in the grass. There's several people in our neighborhood who park cars in the grass all the time. So if you're gonna enforce this ordinance on me, you need to enforce it on everybody. It's been parked in our neighborhood for at least 5 years. To allow operators of commercial vehicles to be allowed to park in their own driveways or to provide them with an area to park. I know last time it was mentioned that maybe there would be a provision that if they paid so much a month to the township, they'd be allowed to park. But again, this board did not follow through. And there was never any resolution nor contact to me as to anything. So I'm asking that this board revisit this issue and this time follow through.
Thanks. Do you have anything else to add?
No, that's it.
Thank you. Our last resident tonight is Tom Yeager. If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
Tom Yeager, this is for my mother-in-law. She lives at 13365 St. Clair Drive over there. And we got a letter from North Huntington stating about the, what's it called now? Anyhow, a sewer line that just put in. And they want us to dig up the sewer line that's in our garage, that's in her garage, and do something with it. I have no idea what they want us to do with it. They send us a piece of paper like this here. According to this, they want us to go from where that sewer line is, clear out to where the street is, where the main is. Whenever I talk to a person there on the telephone, they said all we have to do is take it from the garage outside, 5 feet away from the foundation. Now, this in the garage, this sewer line has been in the garage. It's been there ever since this place was built. I mean, it was okay back then. We can't really see why it has to be removed now. The reason why I'm here is, my mother-in-law can't afford tens of thousands of dollars to have a sewer line that's fine, and all it's being used for is air, and that's it. And she receives no bad odors whatsoever, has never had any problems with this sewer line, but yet because of somebody wanting to do an inspection on an air thing or whatever it is, now she got to have to try to pay like $10,000 to get this done. I mean, I don't know the exact cost because I haven't got a plumber yet, but I have talked to PUC, and they told me to come here to this meeting to find out exactly why she has to do this. I mean, she has to know why this has to be done, and whether your regulations state it or whatever, we still have to know why. Just because they put a new sewer in doesn't mean that everybody on the street's got to change their things and cause them tens of thousands of dollars to do this. I mean, she's 80-some years old. She don't have that kind of money no more. So, I mean, I don't know what else to say. If somebody, if it goes to where she has to do it, we got to know exactly what we're doing. I can't go to a plumber and say, hey, this is what they want done, and then talk to somebody on the board or wherever it was that I talked to tells me something different. We got to know something what's going on or whatever and exactly what all she has to have done if we have to have it done at all. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, response to citizens' input.
Mr. Gray.
Yep.
I forgot to sign the book. Would I be allowed? I'm new
Yeah.
to this. Sorry.
No, yeah, just name and address for the record, please.
My first time, sorry. Rich Gray, 12229 Adams Drive, North Huntington. I assume everyone saw this article. Everything? Mr. Keenan referenced it before. It was front page and above the fold. First of all, I would like to commend the Tribune Review and the reporter Bob Botter for this factual and detailed article. This is not fake news. What you read here is the truth. Despite this tremendous article, there is still one piece missing. So I'd like the commentator, the late commentator Paul Harvey, I would like to offer the rest of the story. After reading this article, a resident said, "You would think that one of those 4 commissioners who fired the chief
would have asked for legal advice before they acted? A good question. Well, here's the rest of the story. Immediately, I believe it was, September 16th, 2016? Anyway, immediately prior to the public meeting at which 4 commissioners, and I'll excuse Mr. Blasco, he wasn't here, and Fran Bevan wasn't on the board there. And then 3 of the other ones didn't participate. But 4 of the commissioners, immediately prior to the public meeting at which those 4 commissioners fired the chief, then President Tony Martino called an executive session in the side room over there. The 7 commissioners were present. The township manager at that time, John Shepard, was present, and solicitor Bruce Dice was present. Once inside the executive session, Commissioner Darrell Bertani announced that he was going to make a motion to fire Chief Lasecki. It was well known to those in executive session, and pretty much everyone outside that room in the audience that night, what 4 commissioners were going to take that action. After Commissioner Bertani made that his announcement, Solicitor Bruce Dice had some words for the commissioners and the board. Mr. Bertani and the board. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, but I think it's a pretty accurate quote. If you have the votes, you can do this. If you have 4 votes, and it appears that you do, you can fire the chief. But what I want to tell you is how this is going to go. If you fire him, he's going to sue you. And you are going to pay him. He won't get his job back. So in that regards, if that's your goal, you will be successful. However, you are going to pay him a lot of money, just so you're aware of that. So they did get legal advice. So in response to the resident questioning if the 4 commissioners got any legal advice, the answer is they did. But they chose to ignore it. And I know this because I sat in that room. I was in that executive session when Bruce Dice gave that advice. And as far as Mr. Dice said earlier, the insurance is going to cover the settlement. I believe we paid our deductible immediately after the suit was filed, which was $10,000, I believe. The balance of the settlement, obviously, will be paid by the insurance company. But like Mr. Keenan said, you can bet your bottom dollar that it will be recovered over time through increased premiums, because insurance companies don't lose money. Thank you. And I don't expect a comment or a response. Thank you.
Thanks. That's end of citizens input for today. Responsive citizens input. Start with Mrs. Seaman. I believe the Board of Commissioners did discuss the thing about commercial trucks parking on residential streets, and I know, like you showed us, your husband's truck is parked in your driveway on your property. I believe at the time it was the board's pleasure that we wanted to uphold our current policy of not having commercial vehicles on residential roads. We can further look into that to see if maybe the board's has some different direction. But that was the direction that we gave our township engineer at that time, that we would not want to rewrite a new policy about having commercial vehicles on residential streets. And I do understand a lot of times there is a complaint filed where you feel like you're being singled out, but there is other trucks on the streets as well. Unfortunately, we don't actively go out and look for vehicles on the streets, so that's why you might see that, and I don't know as why someone filed a complaint towards you. Bruce would probably tell you, Bruce Dice would tell you, we probably cannot show you who filed the complaint or show you the complaint.
That's correct. You stated it right. I don't want to repeat it.
But that's my opinion on the situation. Like I said, if the board wants to discuss further about letting commercial vehicles park on residential roads, we can do so. I can just let you know, before in the past I was opposed to it. Nothing against your husband's livelihood, and your livelihood would bring money to your family. I just feel like it's one of those things that could get out of control easily. I think a lot of people live in residential developments, look at that as an eyesore. They don't want to see a big truck in their front yards of their neighbors. So that's my opinion on it. But like I said, we as a board can discuss further in the future if that's the board's pleasure.
So I just have a couple comments on that. I don't know, maybe Ryan, or I don't know if this falls under planning or zoning. I assume it would be zoning. I think it's worth looking at to, like Mr. Seaman said, to look at maybe coming up with some variances or an annual permit or something like that with certain restrictions in the way. Obviously, they made provisions to park the vehicle off the road in their yard. They created a gravel lot for it. I don't know. I think it's worth looking at to see if it is something we can possibly approve in the future with the zoning, with issuing so many permits. I mean, maybe restricting the number of permits within the township or within a certain residential area. But I believe it's worth looking into, because I fully understand where she's coming from. It is her husband's livelihood. It is her livelihood. I totally get that. But in the same token, Zach, I do agree with you that we got to do something to keep it from every house not every house is going to have a tractor trailer park, but we got to do something to keep that from occurring as well.
Yeah, and what I gathered from Andy, I wasn't at the meeting, but I remember this topic coming up. And Josh is complaint driven. He's not proactively going out, turning over every rock. So he was following up on a complaint. So I think it was at that point the board didn't want to enforce the ordinance, and it was just kind of in limbo for a while. And we were waiting direction from the board, and we didn't get a clear-cut plan of how you want to handle these things. So
I believe it's worth, and I don't know what the rest of the board feels, but I believe it's worth looking into coming up with, we're presenting something to the board possibly with some type of way to permit this or something along those lines. I'm not saying that it's going to be approved, just some food for thought, something to us to digest and see if it's some way we want to proceed in the future. So, I mean, I did have this conversation with Andy. I know it was restricted. It used to be by weight. I think it was 2,000 pounds or something.
Yeah, it's a one-ton vehicle. That's how it's listed in the ordinance.
But I can tell you straight up, there's plenty of other service vehicles out there. And I'll use me, for instance. I drive an E350 van for work, and I guarantee you that truck weighs more than 1 ton. So with everything that's in it, and it's parked in my driveway. So technically, I'm violating the ordinance as well. So, and I'm sure I'm not the only one out there. So I think the ordinance, we really need to look at that and look at updating it, so.
I'm good with that. I think we need to update
If that's if that's the direction you want to go, I would suggest you wouldn't do it through a variance, taking it to the zoning hearing board. You would want it to come in as a waiver, a request for a waiver, and set certain criteria up that would give some teeth to how far off the road it has to be, whether it's on a gravel, playing field, things like that might play into what might be criteria for being able to park a commercial vehicle in a residential area like that. I also think that you should direct the zoning or the code enforcement officer to be uniform about his enforcement. I mean, if there are these other trucks in the neighborhood right now, they're in violation. We shouldn't be singling one. It's not against the law to enforce it against one, but I would suggest to you, it certainly puts a bad taste in the homeowner's mouth when she sees other vehicles being parked there that are bigger or of equal value or equal weight. So I would suggest that we canvass that neighborhood to make sure that it's not being abused, and in the meantime, suggest to the planning department to come up with some criteria for possibly having a waiver brought before you, and you could annually permit it, or you could permit it every 2 years or 5 years or something like that.
I'm okay with that.
Thanks, Bruce. Yeah, I think it's worth looking into, so.
Yeah, we can try.
I don't want to
to
send it to the zoning hearing board, though.
I agree with that too. So the only thing I would say on that too, just like we've been doing in the past, is put a suspense date on it to have this back to the board by, so we actually get some action on it and it doesn't fall through the cracks. So, Jeff, we can talk about that and we can figure out when, maybe by the first of the year or something.
Yes, considering that, the planning director is off on medical leave right now, we'll get it back to you by the end of the year.
Okay.
Any other comments on commercial for Mrs. Seaman? All right, moving on, Mr. Yeager. I believe we can probably get you a good contact information to get a hold of the sewage authority. This board wouldn't be addressing that situation. It would be the sewage authority. And some of that contact information they might have sent you. You can maybe contact them, or after the meeting, if you want to come up, we can maybe try to get you a better contact to maybe help you through that process.
If you see me after the meeting, I'll direct you to the right person.
And then Mr. Keenan and Mr. Gray about the former police chief settlement.
No comment.
I might have been told not to make a comment on it, but I can't resist myself. So I was one of the commissioners that voted not to get rid of the police chief. And I believe everything Mr. Gray stated is pretty much right on the money. In my opinion, there was 4 people that wanted to get rid of the police chief for various decisions. They obviously didn't discuss them in public, why they wanted to get rid of the settlement. And the only thing I could tell the residents of the township is hold those commissioners responsible. Next time they're up for election, vote them out. If people don't vote the right commissioners in, unfortunately, things like this can happen. I think, like Mr. Dice said, if you have 4 votes, you can make the decision. You just might have to pay the bill after the decision's made.
All right. I got to mirror Zach's words. I was also one of the commissioners that voted against it. My comments were you're going to pay him 6 figures, possibly 7. All I got to say tonight about it is, gentlemen, I told you so.
Though I wasn't here at the time of the termination of our former police chief, I have to say that in regards to the settlement, that I was against paying out the settlement for the purpose of, yes, it might be cheaper for the township if we continue in this lawsuit. However, as we mentioned, the insurance premiums were going to be passed along to the township. So I was against the $600,000 settlement with the insurance carrier.
It's okay, so I'm not going to be quiet. So I will say something, since my name was brought up. And yes, I believe that night that we did terminate the former chief, I did state my reasons for why I did that. And if you don't, you can go back and look at the minutes, because I did state why. And I stand beside them, all right? And if you take a look at the facts from where the police department was then to where it is now, well, I think that speaks for itself. And in answer to Richard Gray, not only did I meet with Bruce Dice that night, I met with Bruce, Craig, and Dane prior to any of this and got legal advice from them as well. So yes, I did seek legal advice, and everything was on the up and up, and that's all I'm going to say. Oh, one more thing. I never did get my day in court either. I was never questioned by the insurance company, and I was never deposed to give my 3 pages of reasons I had to remove the former chief.
Hey, I'd just like to say the same thing. I didn't have my opportunity to give my deposition to the lawyers. Didn't have an opportunity, but I have to agree with Daryl. If you look at what the department was before and where it's at now, I think it's 100% better. Thank you.
I believe that's it for citizens' response to input. Approval of meetings minutes for the special meeting 8/9/18.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Regular meeting 8/15/18.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Payment of bills.
I make a motion, we pay voucher number 76834 through voucher number 76940.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Staff reports. Public Works report, Mr. Albert. Anything to add to your report, Mr. Albert?
Certainly, as you know, the recent rains that we had some incidents involving some roads with, again, sliding. Not quite as bad as we've had prior, like as Haywood Road, but we certainly have our issues from the last storm. It's going to require some, major attention. We also had some road closings that are probably more than we've ever had before at one time, at least since what I can remember. This year's been extremely odd, the weather. I mean, we went from so cold to so hot to so wet, so dry. It seems like there's no happy medium. It's been tough all the way around, but we're working diligently to try to keep things afloat. We're still working on getting our roads, resurfaced for the year, our paving program. We have a few more roads left than that. The contractor should be completing that shortly. And, then unfortunately we'll be going into the next season, which we all dislike, the winter season, but we're also prepared for that. I have nothing else to add.
All right. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, Parks and Recreation report, Mr. Miller. Any questions for Mr. Miller? Have anything to add?
Respectfully, I have nothing tonight. Thank you.
Thanks. Police report, Sergeant Rizzo.
Nothing to add.
All right. Any questions for the sergeant?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Fire officials report.
No question.
Any questions on the fire officials report? All right. Subdivision land development, Mr. Fonzie.
Yes, I have 3 items for the board to consider tonight. The first is item S9 2018, SP3 2018, CU1 2018, Huntington Marketplace multi-tenant. This is action to approve a landscape waiver on the building to be built at the corner of Rhonda Court and Mills Drive.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Second item is S-15-2018, the TEPKey Consolidation Plan, requesting action to approve this lot consolidation in the Mark Acres neighborhood.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
And lastly, item S-16-2018, the New Wara Loaner Consolidation Plan, requesting action to approve this lot consolidation in the Willow Glen neighborhood.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Solicitor's report?
I have nothing further tonight.
All right, thank you, Bruce. Township's manager's report, Mr. Silka.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. A few items. First is I'm looking for action to approve the August check register.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Secondly, the budget report for August is provided for your information. Third, I'm looking for action to appoint Robert A. Rizzo as Chief of Police for North Huntington Township and enter into an employment agreement.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Couple things I'd like to add. Mr. Rizzo, first off, thank you for filling in the void over here for the past few months, and as you can tell from the audience that's present here today and the support that you've received, you've done a fantastic job. I mean, I was so impressed during your interviews how you went out and sought grants and really ways to enhance and develop the department. You've grabbed the bull by the horns. Every officer that's come to my door has said nothing but positive things about you, and I can't say that you weren't everyone's top choice here, because you were. So with that being said, I wish you the best of luck moving forward into this position. However, I also have to say that I was one of the guys in the back room that said we have to adhere to a budget, and we had set a budget for this position, and we've exceeded that budget. So when I called Mr. Rizzo this morning and had this conversation with him, and I feel terrible. I feel like I ruined your day. My first 2 class periods of school, I'm thinking, oh man, I just feel so guilty. But even at 7:15 this morning, he was enthusiastic, he was spry, he was energized, he had the positive attitude that the department needs. And I think the men and women out there in North Huntington are going to get the best candidate. But I also feel that as a Board of Commissioners, that when we set a budget, we have to adhere to that. But I wish you the best of luck, and congratulations on your nomination.
Any other board discussion?
Yeah, Bob, thanks for stepping up to the plate. I know the men and women of the department appreciate it, and the board appreciates it, and the township residents. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion.
Do you want me to read, Fran?
Yep, I'm sorry. Fran Bevan couldn't be here, but she did send a letter to the manager, so it can be read.
Okay, this is from Fran Bevan, the Commissioner. Although I am unable to be present to vote affirmatively, I wholeheartedly endorse Sergeant Rizzo. I want the community of North Huntington Township to know that Sergeant Rizzo is tested and prepared to take the helm of the police department. He has shown superb leadership while acting chief. I've had the opportunity to work with him as acting chief. He is an asset to the police department, as he is already an asset to North Huntington Township community. I look forward to making the police department whole again under the leadership of Chief Rizzo. Our community will be able to say that our police department is a shining example for other community police departments. I thank him for his exemplary work as patrolman and sergeant, and I look forward to working with him in his new position as chief of the North Huntington Township Police Department. I wish you only the best, Chief Rizzo. Fran Bevan, Commissioner, Ward 6.
Any other board discussion? Motion and second. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1.
I am so honored to be able to be here, and I thank our new chief for thinking of me and asking me to be here to swear him in. I was here a couple months ago when he was acting chief, and I made him chief. I announced he was chief at that time prematurely, but to me, he's our chief. And as a resident of North Huntington Township, I'm raising my kids here, overseeing the criminal cases that come out of here. I mean, I can attest to his character in uniform and out of uniform. 28 years in service in law enforcement, with the children of the community, watching him down on the football field with my son and the other kids. just like one of the kids. They look up to him, and you know, I know my son was like, "Hey, Mom, did you know the chief of police was down with us on the field?" You know, that was really cool, and you know, just in his khaki shorts, just being just such a good example. He brought the kids up, the high schoolers. His son was one of them. The police explorers came up one day and watched, you know, what not to do. It's probably the lesson of that day, right? Teaching your kids what not to do. We got to talk to the kids afterwards. I mean, the time that he dedicates to the community. And this full room is just a testament to the support that you have, Chief, in our township. We couldn't have asked for a better person for the job. So I'm thrilled to be here. Congratulations to you. So let's make it official. What do you say? All right, raise your right hand. I, Bob Rizzo.
I, Bob Rizzo.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support, obey, and defend.
That I will support, obey, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States of America.
The Constitution of the United States of America.
And the Constitution of this Commonwealth.
And the Constitution of this Commonwealth.
I will discharge the duties as Chief.
I will discharge the duties as Chief.
Chief of Police of North Huntington Township.
Chief of Police of North Huntington Township.
With fidelity.
With fidelity.
On my honor.
On my honor.
I will never betray my badge.
I will never betray my badge.
My integrity.
My integrity.
My character.
My character.
Or the public trust.
Or the public trust.
I will always have the courage.
I will always have the courage.
To hold myself and others.
To hold myself and others.
Accountable for our actions.
Accountable for our actions.
So help me God.
So help me God.
So sworn. Congratulations.
Thank you all.
You want to get the commissioners picture as well? Can we totally interrupt your meeting and?
I think you already have.
You got two cameras you're looking at both of them. So look at look at Nick first. Okay, look at him. Look at him. Good. Perfect.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Don, you can't put that sign on.
All right, thank you. Congratulations, and Mr. Silka, go ahead with the rest of your report.
Okay, back to the exciting stuff now. Number 4 is I'm looking for action to adopt the North Huntington Township 2017 audit as prepared by Mark C. Turnley, CPA.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor by state and I.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Next is I'm looking for action to authorize the township manager to pursue funding for the Haywood Road Slides 1 and 2 through the Pennsylvania Infrastructure Bank.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor by state and I.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Next is I'm seeking action to approve the addition of Trey Road as an add option to the 2018 fiber mat ceiling contract to Russell Standard in the amount of $13,109.38.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor by state and I.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Next is action to authorize the demolition of 12717 Water Street, North Huntington Township, and award the bid to Letterman Excavating for a lump sum of $7,850.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor by state and I.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Next is seeking action to authorize the demolition of 11689 Railroad Street, North Huntington Township, and award the bid to Letterman Excavating for a lump sum of $7,200.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor by state and I.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
The next item is seeking board action to authorize the submittal of the 2018 to 2020 Community Development Block Grant application for the replacement of lateral sanitary lines for Markview Manor.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor by state and I.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Next is seeking action to adopt a resolution for plan revision for new land development for Brookhaven Phase 3, lots 363B, 364B, and 365B.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor by state and I.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Next is seeking action to reject the bid for the 2018 fire hydrant raised pavement markers project, contract number 2018-10, and include the work in the 2019 milling and resurfacing program as a separate line item.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor by state and I.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Next is action to award the proposal for caucus room renovations, base bid and alternate A1 to Schaff Construction for a total amount of $17,975.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor by state and I.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Next is action to award the proposal for meeting room ceiling renovation to Schaff Construction for a total amount of $2,975.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor by state and I.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, I have a few items that were omitted or from the agenda or came in after the agenda deadline that I'd like to have considered for action. The first item is action to promote Jacqueline I. Robinson to the position of accounting clerk effective October 1st, 2018, subject to the terms of the current AFSCME contract.
Motion to approve.
Well,
Second.
it has to be put on the agenda first.
Okay, I make the motion, we add that to the agenda?
I'll second that.
Why don't you make the motion to add
All.
Yeah.
All of them,
Make
okay.
a motion to add all of the items that are listed in the memo of September 7th, 19th, from Mr. Silk. You don't have to read them all, just refer to the date of September 19th, 2018.
Okay.
Okay, I make a motion that we add items 1 through 9 on the memorandum from Mr. Silka dated September 19, 2018 to the agenda.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Action items are on the agenda now.
Okay. Go ahead. So action to promote Jacqueline I. Robinson to the position of accounting clerk effective October 1st, 2018, subject to the terms of the current AFSCME contract.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, secondly is action to approve Civil Service Commission's recommended changes that the rules and regulations for sections 3.12 and section 3.13 as originally recommended by the Board of Commissioners.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, the following are auction items from Munici bid that we've received on the first, our first closing of auction items that were previously approved to be put out for bid in 2 months ago. One is action to award the 2011 Crown Victoria to David Kelp in the amount of $2,500.
Action to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Second is action to award the Land Pride rear discharge rotary mower to Matthew Lutz in the amount of $526.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Next is action to award the hunting tree stand to Dawn Sherry in the amount of $46.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Next is action to award the tree stand to Sonny Herring in the amount of $56.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Action to award 7 vinyl chairs to James Friedline in the amount of $25.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Action to award rear grader tractor blade to Matthew Lutz in the amount of $131.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
And lastly is action to award the Kubota tractor rear box grader to Matthew Lutz in the amount of $652.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
That's all I have tonight.
All right. Any further board comments?
Just like to say thank you to all the fire, police, and EMS that helped out during the flooding and rains of last week. We appreciate all your help, and I'm sure the residents certainly do it in a very difficult time. So thank you guys for all the extra hard work there.
All right. Any other board comments? Announcements? Mayor Silka?
Okay, just a few announcements. One, we will be having a flu shot clinic out at the townhouse on Thursday, September 20th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. The North Huntington Parks and Recreation is sponsoring the Youth Fishing Derby on Saturday, October 6th at Indian Lake Park from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. The Derby is open to ages 14 and under. And just one final item, North Huntington Township was featured in the Municipal Reporter, which is the magazine of the Pennsylvania Municipal League. You'll get your copies in the mail on Friday, and we're going to be putting on the website. It's a really nice feature that we wrote, and we were featured in the state magazine. That's all I have.
Thank you. Just need one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. 8:01.
Finley?
They probably will.
One more issue. I have one more issue I need to talk about.
Oh, executive session?
Yeah, real quick. Here, I'll come down to you.
Yeah,
we get a little bit more meeting.
We'll wait for your, we'll make sure we call you.
So I'll take a look. If it works tomorrow, then we'll know. If not,
Yeah.